So what are we going to be talking about today?
I don't think it matters because it's a drinking video and people are going to watch to see where the fuck it goes.
It's not going to be about what it's supposed to be about, is it?
Never. Let's go. By all critical metrics, DMC is a perfectly serviceable action game that had middling commercial success. According to fans of the original game series it was based on, though, Devil May Cry, it was the video game equivalent of a wet fart. Something developers of DMC initially dismissed.
So let's stick to our usual formula. Introduce this bit by telling us what Devil May Cry is.
Well, Devil May Cry is a series of action games that start a character with a dick that is 3 miles long. DMC is a reboot of that series that is none of those things.
Sounds like it's going to get really confusing considering that the games both have the same name and have the same character.
Yes, especially given that this is a drinking video. So DMC, for the most part, is going to be referring to, the reboot. And when I refer to old Dante, that's the original Big Dick Dante, and new Dante is Small Dick Dante, as the game itself admits. Because there is a scene in DMC where Dante is having shit-talking his brother Virgil, and Virgil says, "I've got a bigger dick." And he has no comeback to that. Which means that Dante canonically has a smaller dick than his twin. Because it's his twin brother who says it. That's a line in the game.
So Karl, describe old Dante for me.
Okay, old Dante is a fucking badass. And as I mentioned, he's a guy with a dick that's 3 miles long, an impossibly sweet red leather coat, white hair, and twin handguns that he can fire at 30,000 RPM.
So his appearance sounds pretty cool. What's he like as an actual person?
An affable dumbass who never really tries and is effortlessly cool in everything he does. As evidenced by all the clips I'm going to make Brad put in because I fucking love this game series. Generally, though, he's just a super awesome, nice guy you'd kind of want to grab a drink with, which goes all the way back to the very first game and an ethos handed down by one of the guys who had a hand in creating him as a character, Hideki Kamiya, who said that Dante is like a stereotypically clean-cut hero. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he's not disrespectful to people. And his reasoning for that was that Dante is simply too cool to do any of those things. And I love that idea, that he's too cool to smoke. Because that's usually a handicap, isn't it? Until very, very recently in media when vaping took over, and that's never going to be cool. I'm sorry, guys. It's smoking was the shorthand, easy way of showing that character's awesome, isn't it? But no, Dante, he's too cool for that shit. So he doesn't need to smoke to show how awesome he is. He just needs to ride a fucking missile while screaming, "Woohoo!" at the top of his voice. He just needs to do motorcycle combos while rising up a 400-mile tall tower while just kicking the shit out of people. All things he does in game.
See, I've only played Devil May Cry 4, and I don't remember it that well. So feel free to keep making these references because I'm
just to see if you can find
looking
them
for the clips.
Well, the famous one for Devil May Cry 3 is when he gets the weapon Lucifer, and he just starts making sex puns while thrusting exploding demon knives into a giant brick, and it explodes into a love heart.
And why was the giant brick part of that the one that made me go, what?
It's like a giant demon slab in some sort of thing.
It doesn't help.
He also gets Pandora's box and uses it as a gun. Yeah. And he uses it to kill a big bunch of ice frogs. This game series is fucking awesome. It goes places. And just everything he does in every game except Devil May Cry 2, which we don't talk about. I think it's so universally agreed that Devil May Cry 2 is a bad game that, canonically, the games go Devil May Cry 3, Devil May Cry 1, Devil May Cry 4, and I think Devil May Cry 5. Because that's how bad it is, because the version of Dante is so bad. And to the point where, I think in one of the Expanded Universe comics, or the anime, they make reference to the fact that might not have even been the Dante. So they say, didn't some guy steal your coat one time? Or some shit like that. They allude to the fact it might not have even been him. It might have just been some dipshit who nicked his coat. That's how much they hate that game. In every other game, just this effortlessly cool badass. Devil May Cry 3 personifies that. He can't do anything without looking cool. He can't even sit down. We've discussed it before, just Commander Riker-esque combos to his chair, just to sit the fuck down. The guy can't even eat pizza without looking like a badass. It's awesome. So as is tradition, Brad, I need to open my next beer. Can you pass me something stupid from around the room to open it with, please?
Stupid?
Yes.
What's some multivitamins?
Let's go. Multivitamins can be used to open a beer. Of course they can. Yep. Always get my 5 a day. One day you're going to pass me something I can't open a beer with. It's going to be very embarrassing.
Was that the challenge? I'm sure I could have found something. I've got like a wax candle of Santa Claus here.
I'm sure we can get more. I'm sure we're going to get more beer. That Santa is going to headbutt a beer open. Just wait.
No, the Santa's head's coming off.
Yeah, but the beer's coming off as well.
So old Dante sounds pretty cool.
Well, by design as well, because the idea is that he's effortlessly awesome and cool in everything that he does, by virtue of the fact he's half demon. Oh yeah, I should mention, like, Dante is half demon in the original Devil May Cry series. Like, he's a half demon who is born from a human mother, because his dad was like a big dick demon knight. He was like, you know what? Fuck, like, you know, hell. I want to get some of this earth booty, and just, like, assumes human form, bangs an earth woman, and she gives birth to twin sons, Dante and Virgil, and they fight in the rain, and it's fucking sick.
So I'm assuming that the way the story works is that Dante is the hero who embraces his human side.
Yes.
And Virgil is the...
Hence the name, Devil May Cry, because the line he always said is like, oh, humans, that's why humans are so powerful, because they possess emotion. That's why my dad was the biggest dick demon lord ever, because he embraced humanity and realised that, like, you know, weakness is its own strength. You've got something to protect. And then they decided to throw all that shit in the trash for the new one, because fuck it.
Alright, so... New Dante.
Yes. Oh, we can call him Dino. Dante in name only. That's the name fans came up with. In the vein of, like, Gino, Godzilla in name only for the shit creature from the 1998 Godzilla movie.
I'm happy with sticking with Dino.
Okay, we'll go with Dino then.
Alright, so what...
Or Dante, that's another one. Dante. That's another one people came up with. I like that one. And they also, well, we'll get to it in a sec. The name for his brother Virgil's fucking brilliant, but we'll get to it in a sec.
So, new Dante.
Yes,
Dino.
Dino.
Dante.
Dante in name only.
What does he look like?
A meth head.
Well,
we did originally, and then they toned down his design, and now he's like an angsty teenage edgelord.
A little bit of kayfabe here. I hadn't actually seen this picture.
Oh yeah, Brad actually did a double take.
Carl was looking at me when I was looking through the art, like reading the next bit we were supposed to read. I looked at this picture and I genuinely just said, "That's not."
Can you believe that's the same character? Because you're looking first at a picture of, like, Dante from Devil May Cry 4, where he's a bit of like, you know, old man stubble, like Daddy Dante, and he stood there like a little flower in his mouth going, "Hey!" Just like a jovial jackass, and then you go down as fucking.
But I generally hadn't seen him. They changed him so dramatically. He looks shit.
Because the reaction to it was so, like, bad. Because if people don't know, in 2010, despite Devil May Cry 4 doing quite well commercially, they, like, Capcom, the publisher, decided, you know what, let's reboot this Devil May Cry shit. So they approached a company called Ninja Theory and tasked them with redesigning Dante for a Western audience. And this is what they came up with.
He just doesn't look, like, good at all.
I think the way I describe it is visually off-putting. It's just an ugly character design for the hero of a game.
He looks like a villain.
Yeah, and that was the very first clip they put out of, like, you know, there's the redesigned Dante, and the backlash was so severe they toned down how he looked and made him look like this instead in the games. But even still, it's a radical departure from what Dante originally looked like, but it's better compared to this dipshit. Because I think that what people call that version meth head Dante, because the picture they released was like a picture of him with, like, the mug shot where he's all beaten up and he's all bloody, and it's like, oh wow. So this character, who in Devil May Cry 4 takes a megaton punch from a giant 40-story tall evil demon statue like it isn't even shit, is getting beaten up by riot police in the new game.
So what was the thought process behind Ninja Theory? Like, how did they go from what is obviously the much cooler Dante to that guy?
Well, the answer, Brad, is Fight Club.
As in Fight Club the film?
Yes, because you see, when Ninja Theory were tasked with, like, you know, making a more Western Dante, they sat down and brainstormed about, like, the differences between, like, you know, Eastern and Western ideals of cool. And there is a fucking phenomenal, like, slideshow presentation they did about these differences, and they highlight specifically Tyler Durden as the quintessential, like, you know, icon of Western cool. Because who doesn't want to look up to, like, you know, a hyper macho posturing dickhead who beats people up in car parks?
I thought the point of Tyler Durden was he was meant to be a gigantic asshole.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a dick. You're not supposed to like him. apparently Ninja Theory haven't, like, you know, mastered basic reading comprehension yet. Or even, you know, watch the film with the director's commentary on. Yes, if you didn't know, Tyler Durden is the bad guy. That's why he acts like such an abrasive dickhole the entire fucking film.
Oh yeah, he's the antagonist.
Yeah, not to mention as well, he's a terrorist. So, the quintessential icon of American cool. Terrorist.
They made a bit of a misstep with that, but you can't argue that there are not differences between what's perceived as cool in different cultures.
Oh yeah, and that's what that presentation was all about, because what Ninja Theory did is they helpfully photoshopped old Dante into various pictures to show why he's not cool. Like this picture that they genuinely put out of old Dante, you know, photoshopped into a scene from Brokeback Mountain. And I'm sure there is no ulterior subtext to putting that message out there and that image and saying this is why this character isn't cool. In a film predominantly known for being a film about gay cowboys.
Yeah, as someone who's created many a shit Photoshop,
okay,
if you asked me to do that, I would infer something very obvious from that implication right there. If
I said, Brad, I want to highlight why this particular character isn't cool, and I specifically told you to single out a scene from Brokeback Mountain and Photoshop them into that, you would be questioning what my motives behind that was. But according to Ninja Theory, they didn't mean anything by it, and they were simply doing it to highlight how ridiculous Dante would look in a Western movie. Because come on, let's be real here, Brad. If you go onto Google right now and type in Western movie, the first thing that's going to come up is a screenshot from Brokeback Mountain. That's what the movie's famous for. There's absolutely nothing else that movie's well known for, you know, colloquially, is there? So it's also as well, because Dante, old Dante at least, I feel wouldn't give a fuck. So I get the feeling like old Dante, if you told him you were gay, would be like, I don't care, let's get some pizza. New Dante, given how he's portrayed in that movie, I think he'd have some other words to say. Given that his most iconic line in that series is "fuck you." I'm not even kidding. That's like his best comeback in that movie.
I thought you were doing Tyler Durden when he said that.
No.
That's all right. Yeah.
No, Dante literally goes "fuck you" direct to camera. It's fucking brilliant. Bear in mind, this is like the evolution of a character who came up with like a flock off Featherface in response to a giant fucking bird that fires lightning bolts out of his beak.
It just sounds like they tried to make him like super edgy.
Yeah, and that's what I think's so hilarious about it, because it's so obviously try-hard edge, and it immediately dates the game, because this is so obviously from the 2010s. And I just want to use it as a jumping off point. Brad, what is your favourite edgelord character in video games?
The first one that comes to mind is Reaper.
Oh man.
He is just edgelord definition.
The Skull Lord himself. Have you ever seen Reaper names on Twitter?
No.
Put up a few. It's basically someone just like screenshot when a Reaper gets to play the game or whatever, and it's all the names that people have when they play Reaper. And it's like, yeah, Skull Lord 420 all day. That's all well and good though, Brad, but we all know the edgiest of edgelords is Shadow the fucking Hedgehog. It will never be topped. Like, you cannot beat Edgy the Hedgy in terms of edginess.
Edgy the Hedgy?
That's his name. Because that game is so try-hard, it actually goes all the way around to being fucking awesome. It's one of those things that it's like, it's so far in one direction, it breaks the dial and goes back to the beginning, starts becoming awesome again. Because the idea of like Sonic the Hedgehog, a character who just like, no, he's just a hedgehog who rescues birds and shit like that. And then it just goes, butt rock soundtrack, Shadow the Hedgehog, with a Glock 18, just with his back to the camera, the hero shot.
Oh, the funniest thing I find about Shadow the Hedgehog is that for some reason, people keep pairing him with Shrek.
Shadow and Shrek.
I don't know why.
Yeah, why not?
But it's just such a strange combination.
Oh no, the best one is they keep pairing Shadow with Pan from Dragon Ball, and she gives birth to Shrek.
Oh God.
Just like, there's just something infinitely amusing to me about that era of video games, just the era of edge, the edgening as it were. Because there was just that period when every character was just this try-hard looking motherfucker who was like, too cool to do any of this other stuff. It's like, fuck you, mum.
Seeing as we're talking about redesigns of characters and Shadow.
Oh, Shadow.
We'd be irresponsible of us to not mention the news this week.
Oh God, Buff Sonic is here.
Buff Sonic!
The Sonic there.
Oh man, the furries are going to go rabid.
No, they're going to hate it, because he's too furry.
Well, he's anthropomorphic though, they can do more with him.
He's supposed to be smooth. If people don't know what we're talking about, There's a Sonic the Hedgehog live-action movie coming out next year, and it looks fucking brilliant. I'm going to watch this day one in the cinema. I don't give a fuck. And they released a teaser poster. It was like a silhouette of Sonic, but Sonic is so muscular. It's really... Like, Sonic has got proper calf definition. Sonic is like got some hammies on him.
The reason behind it, they said... The original Sonic design would not transfer to a live-action setting.
Oh, yeah.
So we've had to anthropomorphise him a little bit
more.
Have
you heard about the big argument they had with Sega as well?
What?
Because they had to change his eye. Joke Sonic has one eye.
Oh, of course he does, yeah. With one eye with the two,
in live action, it looks really creepy, so we had to change it, and Sega's like, no, you're not. So they had to argue back and forth for months about how the fuck do you give him an eye? And that's the theory about why you can't see his face, because they've not decided yet.
But they've made his arms completely blue, and from what I can tell, he doesn't have gloves on. I don't mind...
No, he looks like he's got the creepy human hands.
But I don't mind them updating his shoes to make them a bit more trainery, like, that's fine. And I don't mind them buffing him up a bit so he looks a bit more like he would work.
Brad likes his Sonic buff. he likes a bit of meat
I like them packing on that muscle in that Sonic.
There's a bit of meat on that Sonic. It's more, Brad, you need to do it. You need to zoom right in, just the thighs, because it looks like he's got a fucking lob on. It just looks like he's got nursing a chub, his old Sonic. You're too slow. I can't wait. It's going to be a fucking train wreck. But just that era of those shitty edgelord characters. Like, I recently have been playing through Dante's Inferno, because it was free on Xbox, and that is like the ultimate in Edge.
I think I played the demo.
You play as a guy called Dante, ironically enough, and you get Death's Scythe, and literally, in the first minute of the movie, there's just demon titties everywhere. It's like, one of the bosses is just like, oh yeah, you got to fight, like, lust, or whatever, like the personification of lust, and it's just a woman who fires demons out of tits. And I just look at it and go, some guy somewhere in an office was absolutely wanking himself fierce, thinking about how cool this looked.
He was jacking himself something awful.
It's one of those, like, you can just tell they were sat there going, yeah, the parents are going to hate this. It's like, it's not even that, it's just bad. It's just embarrassing.
I remember what I first thought when they were like, let's redesign Crash Bandicoot.
Oh.
And all they did was give him tribal tattoos.
It's like, yeah, because the thing is, though, what the easiest way to immediately date something is try and use, like, make them cool. Because I think I've seen there's a great teardown of why Sonic is not an enduring character, because he's always got to be cool, but what's cool always changes. So every iteration always ends up looking lame as shit when you look back on it. Whereas someone like Mario, who never tried to be cool, he just tried to be fun and, like, enjoyable and, like, accessible to everyone. Like, it still holds up all these years later. And it's the same like Dante, because he was never trying to be cool. Like, it still holds up today. It looks a bit silly, a bit goofy, but that's his character.
Well, it's the difference between creating cool by making something that isn't cool and making it cool itself.
Yes.
Or trying to be cool, which then becomes dated when that thing's no longer cool.
Yeah, which is going to be like in a year.
So there was a lot of backlash to the redesign of Dante.
Yeah, understandably so. It's a well-established character with a lot of fans. But what's less understandable, though, is the seeming just like vitriol directed back at fans by Ninja Theory, with a quote from someone like developing the game saying, "We don't care about fan feedback." Despite the fact that they immediately backtracked on that early design of Dante because everyone said he looked like a dick. But no, they said, "Oh no, we don't care that the fans don't like this new redesign," despite the fact the game is supposedly appealing to these fans. The 4 million people who bought the last game. It's probably a good idea to keep them in your good books, really, isn't it? Never a good idea to shit on like the millions or so people who are guaranteed to buy your product.
There was a lot of backlash, but
yes.
Fair play to them for at least sticking to their guns and trying to make the game that they wanted to make.
Well, yeah, and they did do that right up until it didn't make them any money. Because as I mentioned at the start of this piece, DMC didn't sell all that well. In fact, it sold less copies than Devil May Cry 4. The game that sold so poorly, Capcom felt the need to reboot the entire franchise. And what they did is they released a definitive edition of DMC that fixed a lot of complaints, like gameplay-wise, that people complained about. So a great one that comes to mind is, in that game, because I should mention this is a fantastic, this is like the kind of like artistic design decision that can only be made by a guy smelling his own farts. Because remember I said Dante is half demon, half human?
Yeah.
In the new game, or in the reboot, he's no longer half demon, half human, because, no, that's boring. He's half demon, half angel. So his mum was an angel. How can you make it any more like the symbolism anymore on its fucking nose? It's literally good versus evil. And in that game, there's a gameplay mechanic where you have angel weapons and demon weapons. And there are enemies that only take damage from angel weapons and enemies that only take damage from demon weapons.
That sounds really shit.
It does, yeah, because it basically cuts your moveset in half. But here's the thing, Brad. Those enemies will appear in the same room at the same time.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And one of the
you have to fight them individually?
No, and one of the angel weapons, their whole thing is that they are crowd control weapons. So they hit all around you. So you can be fighting with the angel weapon and you'll hit one of the demon enemies and it will completely stop your combo dead in its tracks and you can do no damage. This was a design decision that someone thought would be a good idea. Something that absolutely kills your ability to create combos in a game that's known as in the stylish action genre. So yeah, they changed stuff like that, which is obviously a welcome change. They added lock-on, and they're all well and good, but it's the changes that they didn't announce that make you realise, yeah, they realised how dated and shitty and edgy this game was, because there are some fucking brilliant ones.
So what makes these unannounced changes so great?
Because they're so minor in nature that they actually had nothing to do with the game itself, and you can tell they were made specifically because they were embarrassed by them. For example, there is an exchange in the original version of the game where one character says to the big final boss guy, yes, you're going to make this world your whore and fuck it from behind. Because, Edge sells, Edge is cool, and they cut that line out. And that's mean it's a single line of dialogue, but the fact they cut out a single line of dialogue tells you that they were embarrassed by it. Because if it would have been the entire scene, that would be okay. But no, it's one line of dialogue they edited around. And when a games journalist asked a representative from Ninja Theory, why did you cut this line? The guy went, oh, it was for pacing issues.
Sure it was.
Yeah, a single line of dialogue was for pacing issues. Bearing in mind, that quote was given by the guy who wrote the story to the game.
There's got to be more petty changes they made.
Oh yeah, they edited the scene with the 360 quickscope abortion.
The what?
Yeah, I know what I said. That's an accurate description.
I don't know what you said.
That's an accurate description of what happens in that scene. Long story short, there is a female character in the game who is going to give birth to the evil big demon's baby, and your brother in game, the hero that he is, decides to stop this by shooting her in the back when she's unarmed through the stomach with a sniper rifle.
And they cut that?
No, they edited it. It's still in, but they edited it to make it to make his motivations more clear. Which is ironic because the most famous line of dialogue Virgil ever gives is, I'm motivated. So yeah, now I'm motivated. It's 360 demon abortion with a sniper rifle. Do you know what my favourite part about that scene is though? The fact that prior to the release of DMC, one of the guys making it criticised the design of the two main female characters from Devil May Cry, Lady and Trish, describing them as, I think, prostitutes with guns. And it says, they have no agency, they're just there, to titillate the player. And one of the only female characters in his game serves to give birth to a baby from the bad guy and then gets shot through the stomach with a sniper rifle in the back while she's begging for her life. And that's your hero. The thing that always pissed me off about that statement in particular is that Lady is fucking awesome. She's the only playable human character in that entire series. And do you know how she competes on the same level as Dante, the god tier mega badass?
How?
Guns. Lots and lots of guns. All she does is just shoot things a lot. That's her whole shtick. She just has she does nunchuck moves with a shotgun. That's her thing. She can flail a shotgun around her body like a fucking pair of nunchucks like Bruce Lee. She has a rocket launcher that fires 1,000,000 rockets at once. She's awesome. Then you compare that to just one of the female characters in DMC, and she runs around spraying portals with a code through made of squirrel jizz. I'm not even kidding. Her whole thing is she serves to just open portals, and she just says, "Oh yeah, make it with desiccated squirrel semen." Which means, yeah, this female character you show so much respect for, off screen just tossing off squirrels. Compare that. Compare just girl tossing off squirrels quietly to facilitate the male character's, revenge quest, with lady in fucking Devil May Cry 3 just doing, rocket launcher katas to fucking endless armies of demons.
Are you saying that they brought in a female character in that game who literally can't do anything without semen?
Yeah.
How is that worse? How is that better than what...
Frosty shoots with guns.
I'm done.
The best part is as well, there's actually a nod to that in Devil May, even though it's released 4, but there's a great nod to that where in Devil May Cry 4, if you get the secret ending, Dante's reading a magazine called Two Handguns Magazine. And he's got Lady and Trish on the front. Just posing like on the front of Fast Car magazine or some shit.
So Karl, let's talk about the hat.
The hat, yes. And this is my favourite change. I think it's emblematic of the game as a whole. In the original DMC game, throughout the entire game, your brother Virgil spends the entire time wearing a fedora. And in the remastered version, the definitive edition, they remove the fedora. It's never explained, no one's ever talked about it, save for a few scant references to them always hating it, which to me just sounds like the kind of thing someone would say if they tried to wear a fedora thinking it was cool. People made fun of them, and then afterwards they, oh no, I always hated it, my girlfriend told me, thought it looked cool. But yeah, they remove a fedora from the game. And the worst bit about that is, because the fact they remove the fedora means that my favourite joke, sure they call Dante Dante or Dino, they call Virgil Virgin. He's just walking, he spends the entire game saying, oh Dante, you're so much stronger than me, I'm helpless without you, also help me. And he's just fucking fedora. And I just don't remember it properly, but I'm pretty sure he wears the fedora when he shoots the baby. So he does the fedora dance. He does quick scope, tits fedora, leaves server. It's fucking ridiculous.
Oh, it's been a while since that's come up.
Oh man, the best. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's just a dance me and my friends do. It's the you go up to a girl in a nightclub, you do a little bit of dance, you go quick scope, tits fedora, and then you leave server. It's well good. Girls love it.
Leave server is walking away from the girl.
Drives them wild every time. They love it.
Yeah, but it drives them wild, but you can't respond to it because you've already left.
Yeah, that's the way. I know it's a minor thing, but that's what I find so funny about it. The fact that they genuinely thought the look that is most widely mocked online of a guy wearing a fedora with a long leather trench coat and a katana was actually cool, because that's what Virgil is in that game. He's that guy. He's that guy who poses with a katana and a trilby on, just saying, yeah, challenge me to a debate, motherfuckers. He's that guy. They thought that guy was cool.
When I was a kid, I say kid, early teens, I really wanted a fedora. I thought they were cool. And then
so did everyone when they were a teenage edgelord. This is supposed to be a game about people in their 20s who are fighting fucking giant evil demons. Something else they removed from the game that I kind of wish they'd left in, though, is the fact that in early drafts in DMC, Virgil's supposed to be a germaphobe, and in the final product, you can see he always wears gloves. And the idea there is that he was supposed to be like a germaphobe. He didn't want to touch anything. But the way they were supposed to characterise that was by constantly polishing his sword. So they were going to have a character wearing a leather trench coat, a fedora, and a katana, talking about how the government's suppressing people while constantly polishing his own sword. And that would have been fucking brilliant. That would have been Sonic. That would have been Shadow the Hedgehog. That would have gone all the way fucking round for me, and that'd be brilliant. But it's the idea. They turned Virgil, the greatest final boss in video games, into that dipshit. So we've talked about it before, haven't we, multiple times? Like, Virgil is probably the greatest final boss in like an action game ever made because of that one thing. And it's because he's you, but better. He is you, but better. And you don't get stronger the character never gets stronger. You just get to be a better player until you can whoop his ass. I love that shit.
So is that it for changes, or are there any other ones, maybe like one that you actually like?
Oh, one that I do like is that they put in a skin for Dante that makes him look like Dante from Devil May Cry 1, called Classic Dante.
Yes, they did.
And that's especially hilarious because there is a scene in that game that made it into the definitive edition where a wig blows onto the head of new Dante. It's like a long flowing white wig, and he looks direct into a mirror, which is the camera, so he says to the audience, never in a million years. 3 years later, they released a skin where you can play as that Dante, and that scene still plays.
Wait, so you can play through that scene and a wig blows onto a wigged head?
No, it's not, yeah.
Oh, no, a real head. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's, for me, that's worse than the fedora.
A lot of people saw that as like a knowing jab at like fans of the original, because a lot of the shit was saying, oh, you just don't like the redesign because he hasn't got white hair. It's like, no, it's because he's not the same character and he's a bit of a dick. But as angry as I was at the time, though, when that happened, I love that in Devil May Cry 5, they've taken the high road. And do you remember that jab that they said about, oh yeah, Dante would never work in a Western? Yeah. Do you know one of the weapons that Dante has in the new Devil May Cry? A cowboy hat that fires meteors. Get fucked, Ninja Theory.
What do you reckon we should talk about this last bit?
Well, since we're talking about Devil May Cry and games of that ilk, maybe we should talk about the fact that you keep cutting out my references to Transformers Devastation.
Oh, God, not again.
This bastard here has cut out the same reference 3 times now, so I want it to be known. And he's going to put it in now, or he's fucking fired. Because for 3 videos now, I've made reference to the same part of that game. And it's the part where you are tasked with defeating Starscream in space. And your mission objective is show Starscream some true Autobot justice.
I put a bit of music in from that.
But you didn't put the right bit of the song in. That's the problem. And I told Brad it's got a really good intro to a song, and he put the wrong bit in.
You know what? Put it on now.
I want to put that on. Fucking put it on right now.
Go on. If I'm not getting it right, put on the bit you want to talk about.
Where is it now? YouTube. I put a P in. It came up something weird. Mate. I don't know how you keep messing this. I'm going to turn this volume up. You're going to listen to this fucking soundtrack. Where is it? Where's my volume? Yeah! That fucking soundtrack, man. Lost in space, Autobot. So cool. So fun. Then that bit. How do you not think that's the hypest shit ever?
I don't know which specific bit is the bit that you want, like...
It's the intro, then the drums kick in.
So when it first comes in?
Yeah.
Because I found the bit of the song that had, like, the riff in it. That's what I thought.
No, it's this bit. Brad, it's this specific bit right here, look.
This is what I have to deal with.
It's the introduction. The drop. Fucking nuclear drop. Lost in space, Autobot! Starscream badass!
Demonetize!
And then it comes up, unleash true Autobot justice. And you always got to open up with a fucking drop kick. Oh man, it gets me hype every time. Go play that game, it's fucking awesome. And he keeps cutting it. Brad, you cut out that moment of hype 3 times, you should apologise. I got that hype every time, and then when I watched the video back, thinking, oh, I wonder if it made it into this video, so people can see my excitement of this genuinely awesome part of a video game that I really enjoy and want to talk about. And Brad cuts it out. And presumably deletes the footage so I can't ask for it back. Damn. Bastard!
I think it might be one of the extendeds of you telling me to put that exact bit in.
I even sent in the clip. That's how much I helped him. Put this clip in.
The first time you brought it up, you made me watch it right there and then.
Yes!
I was sat there like, I really need to get back to work. And Karl was like, look how cool it is. It's in space. So
we've not even talked yet about the soundtrack from Devil May Cry 5. Because I was getting too worked up talking about fucking Dino. Because Devil May Cry 5, the soundtrack for each character, they get their own. And the one for Nero, Devil Trigger, is so fucking hype. And there's a great system. It's probably the only worthwhile thing they've taken from DMC, which is the better your combo is, the louder the music becomes. So when you are doing a Smoking Six style combo on an enemy, the music blares all the way in and overpowers every other sound effect. And you just hear this sick, awesome, just dance fucking rock remix of a song. It's great. But it's hilarious to me because video game journalists who are historically not great at playing video games, I think we can admit, me and Brad have talked for the Doom one. The guy from Polygon who was given exclusive access to Doom and does that thing that your mum does when she tries to play Halo, walks forward, then aims.
Yeah, can't you move both sticks at once?
But loads of reviewers have been like, oh yeah, Devil May Cry 5 is good, but the music's a bit muted. It's not as like, bombastic as it was in previous games. Like, yeah, this guy can't play. This guy can't do a good combo. That's why the music sucks. So I can ignore his review because he wasn't playing it properly. It's great. It's the idea. Because you can imagine now, like, if that happened in Transformers Devastation, I'd still be playing it today for that moment. Because when you land that, if I could land a drop kick as fucking Optimus Prime on Megatron and that song kicked in, that'd be Game of the Year every year for me forever. Because that's the sickest shit ever.